Hi, episode 3, Steph's World. I've been listening to rock and roll. Why? Well, amazingly enough, someone on G actually invited me to write a song, a rock and roll song. Well, that's appropriate for me. What am I? I'm a rock and roll baby. I was a teenager during the 60s and I was a wild thing. You know, there was a song out there called Wild Thing. That was me. Ask anyone who knows me. Ask my own daddy. He would say, yep, Steffi was our wild thing. Oh, I'm almost looking forward to writing about some of the escapades that I found myself in. All of those things, though, were part of my learning, part of my education, part of my spirituality. That, amazingly enough, even with all the reading I did, all the studying I did, all on my own, nobody told me to do this reading. Nobody instructed me to do any of this. I did it on my own. When I was 15 years old, I was reading about 2 books a day. Why? I thirsted for knowledge. I hungered for it. And I would spend lots of time up in my bedroom, which I was very fortunate. I thank my parents very much for allowing me, out of 6 children, to have my own bedroom. We lived in a Chicago suburb, and we lived in a very small house, really. But we had 4 bedrooms, and I got one to myself, and that was pretty amazing. But because I was several years older than the very next child, and then a lot of years older than the youngest one, I think they felt that due to my being a teenager, I needed the privacy. And of course back then I wasn't very grateful about anything. And I didn't understand that I should have been kissing their feet and thanking them. They even let me have a phone for a while until I ruined their trust. I did some well, they're not stupid. They're called learning experiences in our lives. There was a time after I had grown up that I felt very guilty about some things that happened in my lifetime. And I let that guilt eat me up alive. Just eat me alive. And because of that, I did a lot of things that hurt my own body. They destroyed the inside of my body. The outside doesn't look it at all. I have absolutely no fat on me. Why? I don't know. I'm built like a man in a way. I mean, as far as having a fat content, I'm sorry. I do have all the woman items that women are supposed to have, but I'm very thin, and there's only been one or a few times in my life when I wasn't. Pregnancy. Now, originally I was planning on making episode 3 into an episode about how to meditate. Something has come up in my life that I need to talk to people about, especially people who have children, especially people who have children in the armed forces. I know there's a lot of you out there whose children have passed on due to being hurt somehow in the army. Maybe they passed on after they got out. I don't know. I've noticed that a lot of people wrote about their children just like I did after my son passed on. He was almost a 10-year army, in the Army, 10 years. That November, had he lived, he would have been in the Army 10 years. That's a long time. I never ever expected my son Matthew to honestly even join the Army, let alone be in it for that long. I will say this, it went kind of against the way his mother had raised him. I was a hippie, biker type woman. I won't deny it. During the day I was a professional, but as the time I was off, we always had long-haired hippie freaks at our house, and my children can testify to that. I have pictures of it. I was just looking at them just the other day. But anyway, they were used to it. And I really did give my kids quite a bit of freedom. I wanted them to find their way. I really did. At any rate, let's get back on the subject. Okay. Yesterday I checked my mail. I don't check it every day, but yesterday I checked it. And I had a card in it from Hunter Airfield down here in the Savannah area. It's an Army, and it's Air Force, Army and Air Force together. And my son, Matt, was stationed down here for a while. I think that's when he was being trained to be in the medvac unit for helicopters. He had been in maintenance of helicopters for 5 years. And then he suddenly decided that he wanted a much more active role. He wanted to do good because Matt was good. How I could have produced this beautiful child, this beautiful man, is definitely beyond anything I could ever imagine. I produced 2 other children too, and they were beautiful too. They are beautiful. But Matt was a light. He was definitely a light, and still is. At any rate, I got this card, and it was a candlelight vigil set for the 24th of this month. And the reason they're having it is due to Memorial Weekend. It figures. And I've been invited because I have a child that died while he was in the service. I should say transitioned. I rather say transition, but everybody else knows of it as death. Well, death is an ending, and in his case, he didn't end. Now, I miss him. I miss him so much. It's difficult to talk about him, because when I do, I think about all the wonderful things that he contributed in this world this time around. And when I say this time around, I truly believe we don't come around just once. We come around a lot of times. And that's for another episode, by the way. Well, I can't go to this thing, to this candlelight vigil. And I called the gal up at the Army field and talked to her. And she said, would you send a picture? And I said, I can do more than that. I can send you a 4-page document that I wrote that went all the way to the president. I don't know if the president really read it, but I do know the Secretary of Defense did. He wrote me a very touching letter back about it. I sent it to him because I figured if you're going to send me kudos about my child, why don't I tell you about my child? And that's exactly what I did. I don't have any fears. I really don't. There is nothing in this world that I fear. Nothing. And it has nothing to do with my lifestyle or what my lifestyle was. In fact, it has everything to do with the change that I went through about 17 plus years ago. That's what it has to do with. And that's going to be in my document, my story that I'm writing. That I hope and pray that people will pay attention to. There is a message that is coming. And right now, it might seem a little boring. I'm sorry. It's just a story. It's a story about a real family. But I have to start at the beginning. So I invite people to please read it. Take a few minutes out of your day and just read it. And Dad, don't get upset with me, okay? Realize that nobody really knows me. They don't know you. They don't know our family. And I was very good when I did it. I didn't even use real names. How about that? Okay? I didn't even use any real names. Of course, if people really wanted to find out about us, they could. But who cares? We're just your everyday Joe, right? Anyway, I was honored when someone actually from Google Plus was for real asked me to write a song, and it was an honor. But I thought to myself, my son should be doing this. My son Matthew, he was a musician. He taught himself how to play drums, how to play guitar, all forms of guitar. It was amazing to watch him do this. I never in a million years thought my child in just a few months would be in a band, a hot rocking heavy metal band, but he was. And then they went on tour. When he was, after he turned 18, he went on tour. It was unbelievable. And today, I don't have the one CD that was so good. Matt wrote almost everything on it. It was amazing. It was totally different than any music. I haven't even heard any music like it today. I don't know if anyone has any copies of it, but it was wonderful. And I kept telling Matt, you need to go forth with this. That you have found some of your talents. All of us have wonderful talents. Sometimes we don't even find it until we become older, like me. I'm just learning a few of my talents. We're not limited. We're unlimited. That's the whole point. Only this limits us. Don't let it become unlimited. I beg of you. Open up. Let your soul out. And I'm going to end it for now. I'm sorry if it's not my usual little episodes. It's almost Mother's Day and I'm a little sad right now, but I'll get better. It's just a human emotion. Thank you. Goodbye.